Okay, sorry for the delay on the video. I was actually picking up a new barrel nut. For some reason it got shipped without one, but Dan over there was able to respond very quickly, get me one, allow me to go pick it up. Uh, just a testament to the customer service over at Larue. Right here we have the 6.5 Grendel 18-inch barrel. It is already, from what I can see, just disassembling the upper, just as much quality as any of the other rifles they make, but we get the fun of putting it together. I'm going to go over how to assemble the upper. I do have some of the parts here that might not pertain to this video that it comes with. Right here we have the FDE stock, and it comes with everything including the buffer, spring, tube, castle nut. And when we get the lower opportunities out there, we'll do another video showing how to properly stick the castle nut, assemble everything, and lube everything. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to replace it with this already assembled Larue upper. Lower. It does have the MBT trigger already installed in it, so we'll be using this as a stand-in until the new FDE uppers come out. Hint, hint. So right here we have our Larue Tranquillo brake. From what I can see here, it is wonderfully machined. I do not have the Tranquillo yet, but after taking a look at some of the reviews and also looking at it, this is as you would expect from any Larue product, pretty stand up. Usually your barrel does come assembled with the gas block and everything in it in the barrel nut, but as I said, I had to pick up one. I can tell you one thing that I learned from the armorer's class that some other people in the industry might do, but Larue does it, and it's a wonderful idea. Never would have thought about it before. Is anytime you get a completed gas block and gas tube from Larue, they come already preset with some Loctite in there. Everybody's wondering why I put Loctite. There's no screw threads or anything in there. This actually helps it hold its positioning in place, and it is, even under the heat that it gets, it just helps it that extra bit so you have no alignment problems, and that's why Larue rifles function so well. Right here we have your bolt carrier group. It already comes assembled. For the video, I'm going to go ahead and take it apart so we can go ahead and go from the full assembly to disassembly of the rifle, and I'll do that in just a second. You have your charging handle. It does come with FD little plastic kits there. I love these. I love these. It's awesome because you can actually run if you have any light wires or anything, and also it gives a more comfortable grip, whether you're wearing gloves, bare hand, or anything. I love their polymer kit that they have. Right here you have shims. Really nice. Usually when you get shims, you just get shims in a bag. Someone over at Larue took the time to color code them. Wonderful. So if you ever forget, if you ever have to break down your rifle, take the brake off, you have your color coding on there. It's wonderful. Part of this that's not in the kit today that we're going to be using, and this is a good all-in-one use. If you have some of the other let's say reaction rods, I'm not going to say the name of the company, but the bev block, this really helps. It's really good, useful. It uses for your mag well, and at the same time it'll mate into the barrel, so you're not torquing on the receiver and you're torquing on the barrel. And everybody's wondering what this end is. You can actually disassemble your bolt and put it on the other end for extra stability when torquing on the barrel. It does come with a lower parts kit. I will be using this again, hint hint, when Larue offers some wonderful Larue lowers to everybody that bought. A little bit different if you own the Predatober. You're probably used to this style barrel nut wrench. This is wonderful, especially for the Predatober on the go. But what's neat about this is it allows you to torque to exact specs. Now, one thing you learn in the Larue class is 35 to 40 pound torque rating on the barrel nut. This does show that they want 50 foot-pounds torque rating. Again, always go with what they tell you. But try not to over torque. You don't want to stretch those threads, because if we over torque, stretch those threads, we got to go to the same torque or more every time, and that's not the goal. Also, on that barrel nut, or the wrench, it comes with the muzzle device wrench, and that says to torque to 35 to 45 pounds. I'm going to be using just a few little tools here. I have a wonderful torque wrench, a T15 T-handle. Now this is a little bit tricky to use, so I also have just a little one, and this is to actually get your handguard mated to the upper receiver. It is a little tight fit to keep it nice and slim, but you'll still be able to use both, and I'll show you how. And then a 3/32. You might not need this when you get your upper kit in if your barrel's already assembled, but this is to screw in the Allens at the bottom of the barrel. So, where do we get started? First off, we're going to clear everything off that we don't need right now. And that part right here, we're going to turn in our bev block upside down. And here's the reason why I like to do this. We're going to install the barrel onto the upper receiver, but everybody wants to put the bev block in upside down, have the barrel made into the other end. I like to actually put the lower receiver into the vise, and here's the reason why. I like to have the lower and upper mated, and then torque the barrel nut onto the barrel, then install everything, and then go to the upper receiver to torque on the muzzle device. I find this a little bit more stable platform. When you actually put in the barrel and then you're putting on the nut and you're pushing on it and torquing on it with the bev block, when it mates into the locking lugs, it'll actually push the barrel out, and it just tends to be a little bit more tricky. This just seems to be a little bit more easy. And it's not that we're just trying to do things easy, it's we're trying to do things the right way. So I'm going to put this upper into the receiver. Now, one thing you'll notice is with every Larue product, everything seems to be a little bit tighter fit, and that's okay. That's because you don't want any wobble, you don't want any loose fits. So you can just hammer on it with your hand. And then sometimes you're going to need a little rubber mallet to do the tap. Rubber mallet's not going to hurt anything. There we go. There we go. I've said that a couple times. There we go. Now, if you don't have a vise to do all this, you can still do it all by hand. All these things just make it that much easier to install and do it correctly. At the same time, reach out to your buddies at the gun range. Reach out to your local, gun shop. Typically, if you're really cool with them, you're nice to them, they'll let you use their vise if you're going to try to do it on your own, and they can actually help you walk through and give advice at the same time. Also, don't hesitate to call the people over at Larue. I remember when I got my first Larue rifle and I was trying to break it down to clean, I literally thought I was doing something wrong trying to break down my rifle. It was so tough. So, don't be afraid. Always ask questions. I've always found out that you can ask all the questions you want on the forums, and they're wonderful. So we're going to put our barrel in. I'm going to slide our castle nut wrench over. Now again, if you already have it pre-assembled, it's going to come in looking like this. And that's okay. The wonderful thing about this wrench is you can still sit there and torque on it with the gas tube on. And it'll also free float just down to here so it doesn't slide around. Same style as the Predatober. If you don't have the Predatober, you're probably not used to this, but if you do, you completely understand what's going on. With this, tighten your barrel nut wrench all the way to hand tight. Some people like to use anti-seize, some people don't. I don't really care to. I've never really had a problem with having seizing of the barrel nut. If you do get it, you can always heat it up, take it off, but please don't put Loctite on there, because one, you're just making your job that much harder and it's not needed. And also, a couple other people like to lube up. I've never understood why, but It's personal preference. Again, wonderful thing about these platforms is you can listen to the manufacturer or you cannot. Everybody has their own right way. I just choose to listen to the manufacturer on how to do things. So with this, with the barrel nut, when you torque it on, you're gonna mate your barrel nut to it. Now, one thing that people, and I think there was a video already posted about this, you always want to be in line the closer you are to where the work's actually being done. The further you get out, the more you're going to have to actually cant to get the same amount of torque. Now, the great thing is once you torque it the first time, if you're doing it the same way every time, you're technically applying the same amount of torque. So, if you were to go straight line, you're going to apply a little bit over 50 pounds of torque if it says it on your wrench. What I truly believe is if you go with an angle like this on a wrench like this, you're going to actually get just about 50 pounds of torque. Again, personal preference. The main thing is that you're doing things the right way every time. So we're going to torque this over, and you want to always make sure that you have it set to the right amount of foot-pounds of torque. There we go. Okay, once we get it to actually made up here. There we go. Again, with everything with Larue, everything is a nice, snug, tight fit, and you can't argue that. You don't want everything always to be loosey-goosey all the time. You want to be able to have a nice, snug, tight fit. There we go. Perfect. And then you're done. Your barrel's installed. It's a well-made in-house Larue barrel. The one thing I love about the way they do their barrels is, and I've actually worked in a local business around here, and I got to meet one of their barrel makers, and just hearing their employees talk is about the quality and inspection that goes in it. If a barrel doesn't pass, they don't go and sell their barrels to some other manufacturer or anything. They literally will trash their barrels and make sure that they can't be used again. They don't want to have the Larue name out there without, you know, it being proper to their specs. So again, just a testament to the quality of work that they do over at Larue. Okay, so now I'm going to take off. Now we've got to have a little bit of a punch here to get stuff out of our upper receiver. We're going to take off the upper off the lower. And literally you can just be a few taps here and there. Stand by for again, as I said, these uppers, they we're going to go just a little bit different route here. Now I'm using wood jaws, so I'm not actually damaging my upper here. If you have any kind of rubber, do it. But if you have metal, I wouldn't recommend it, or else you're going to miss the finish. Perfect. Again, just a testament to the tolerances and specs that they have on the Larue manufacturing line. It is awesome and amazing. Going to the actual armorer's course, it's interesting to see. You can definitely tell who hasn't broken their rifle down and who has, because it is hell the first few times, but it's for a good reason. So now we're going to put our bed block in, and we're going to have it to where we can made up with the locking lugs on the barrel. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to install our gas block. Now, most people use one set screw, or even sometimes two for safety precautions, I guess, in their eyes. Larue uses three. They want things to be done right. They want the alignments to be perfect. You got to respect that. That's just solid workmanship right there. Now we're going to tighten these down. We're not going to overly torque them. There is 3 holes there that are precision drilled. This is really to make sure that this doesn't come off. It is seated nicely, but you don't, again, have to over torque the screws, because you don't want to be able to not get them off. You don't want to be able to stretch and mess up things. The biggest problem in any industry that deals with any kind of fasteners is people over torque things. Over torque things. And that's not a good thing. So we're going to slide our upper on. Now, you can see it wiggles around on the bed block. As I said before, you can actually use your bolt as a stability part, and I'm going to show you that here at the same time. And you stick the bolt face end in, you slide it in, and it will mate up with that O-ring portion there, and it gives a nice rigid platform. So we're going to install the brake now. First things first, with the brake, you want to use as many or least amount of shims possible. You want to avoid stacking shims. The less amount of air to cant your brakes, flash hiders, whatever, the best. So I put it in, I see the alignment, the holes. You have 2 holes facing down, or 2 holes facing up, and then 2 holes facing up towards the tip that are in line with the barrel. You want to time the brake to that point. So as you can see, they're lined up right here. I rotate past. So I need a little bit of a thin shim to go on there. And we go through here, see if we can make first time a charm. You look through, you have many different thicknesses. This one looks pretty close to what we're going to need. Now, if you do use a crush washer, the biggest thing about crush washers is use them once. Once they are installed, they are installed. If you actually use them again, you're going to probably have alignment problems, torque problems, just many different things, and you just don't want that. So we're going to loosen our torque wrench to, it says 35 to 45 pounds. I always like to start off low and work my way up. The reason being is you can always torque something more, but you can't torque it less. So it's, again, common problem in any kind of a fastener industry is over torquing. Okay. Now, what's great about this bed block, use reaction rod, however, is it grabs onto lugs. So when you're tightening this, you're not putting any over torque on the upper receiver, because if you think about it, you have a pure round barrel with a locator pin that goes in right on the barrel nut wrench. That's a lot of stress to be putting on just one thing, so you don't want to ruin your upper receiver. So I tighten it. Now notice that I'm going past, so I'm going to need a little bit thicker washer. So you want to line it up to about 1/8 to 1/4. Now you're going to look through, find a little bit different washer. Thought first time was going to be a charm. Let's try this. And that's the joy of building and being able to assemble guns, is you get to have fun. It's, you know, everybody has their own different style. Again, it's fun. You get to be able to relieve a lot of stress. You get to learn a lot about your rifle. If you haven't taken the armorer's course, go do it. It is a wonderful course, a lot of fun you get to learn in it, and you get to meet a lot of nice people in it. Perfect. Just going to tighten just a little bit more. I am almost perfectly aligned. And I'd say that's pretty good right there. So now we have our brake installed. Some people like to install the brake after the handguard, some like to do it before. It doesn't matter, it's up to you. Some people are paranoid about their brakes or scratching up the inside of their handguards. My theory on it is, how often do you show people the inside of your handguard? It took me a little bit to figure that out because I'm OCD about it. I like my things to be perfect. Well, when I got my Predatober, you take your handguard off a lot. Guess what happens? You're going to scratch the inside of your handguard. You're going to get your gas block messed up a little bit. But hey, these are meant to be used. They're not meant for a museum, even though they technically could be. They're wonderful products. So I like to start the set screws off. Just get them started just a little bit. So when we screw it in, it's not popping any of the other screws out. They have a little bit of a drop of Loctite on them, but don't worry, you can break it easy. I think it's more just meant to just hold it in place. I can say that what's wonderful about this upper, while we're screwing this in, is this upper was really well conceived. It's a really low profile, thin upper. It does have the chemo system on it, so you can have many different accessories you add to it. If you're like me, I like my rails basically bare. I don't like a lot of stuff on them. I just like it as thin as possible. I usually put one on the bottom for my bipod, which on this Grendel definitely will have a bipod on it. I also did order the 300 black upper. Look forward to that as well. That's one thing that I've been wishing for from the Larue manufacturer for a long time. They make great products, and when you shoot something that you're confident in, it's awesome. So this, as you can see, even a T handle, you can go at an angle. They do make ball T handles as well, but it is a tight fit. You can finish it off with the smaller wrench if you like, just to make sure the torque is right on it. But again, preference. Again, don't over tighten on this. Make sure they're secure, they're snug, that they won't back out. If you have to put Loctite on it, I don't, but if you have to, don't use too much, and you can always heat it up and break it off. So now we've I'm going to take out the bolt here so it allows us to take off the upper. There we go. Now we have our finished upper before the bolt carry group. Again, I love this thing. It's nice, thin profile, so if you have big hands, you can also put some rails on it and then have your polymer kits on it, any different grips. But if you also have skinnier hands, you're a lady, wonderful job on it. I think you can adapt this to fit anyone. Okay, a couple things about the bolt real quick I want to go over. Gas rings. Everybody says, oh no, I gotta have my gas rings aligned just right. Throw the bolt head in there, make sure the gas rings are in there, make sure there's no huge different variations like bends in them. Those little spots, they have to put them on there. They're going to realign themselves. If you align them up perfectly, as soon as you throw them in your bolt and you shoot a round or two, they're gonna move the way they want to move anyways. You're not gonna have any gas leaks. They're meant to be loose. When you do put them inside your bolt, these rings actually close up even more. So the visual side of it is like, man, there's gaping holes or gaps. Don't worry about that. They're gonna seal themselves. Just make sure that they're moving nice and freely. They're not gunked up. There's no weird bends or cracks in them. That's the main thing you got to look out for. Okay. So when you install it, also make sure, and 99% of the bolts out there will not let you install backwards when it comes to where the ejection is. But when you do put them in there, make sure, as you see, the casing pops out this way, the extractor claw goes out this way. So putting it in, okay, here. And as I said, the gas keys are very tight on this rifle, or very large. They meant to seal really well on them. So sometimes you have to wiggle it around just to get it in. Okay. Now we're going to put in, we're going to install the firing pin. Okay. So you want to get the alignment out here. Drop in here. We're going to put in the locked position. When I say locked, if you haven't looked at your bolt head, it's a rotating bolt head. So when it comes in, it unlocks out of the lugs. It's going to rotate. Your extractor is going to be at like a 45-degree angle from, or I guess like an 11 o'clock, 10:30 angle. When you lock out, that's where it locks into the lugs. It's going to be more straightforward facing. Now you're going to drop in your firing pin, push it all the way in, and then sometimes the cotter pins are flared just a little bit. You just got to sometimes work it, and it'll eventually push in with ease. Biggest thing is you just don't want them loose where they're falling out when you turn it out this side, because what will happen then is if you ever do take your bolt out to just clean it off, if you have something you're checking on it, that can cause a really big problem later on with losing it, having firing pin back out, loose, no fires, many different things. Again, going to the Larue Armorers course, you learn how to diagnose almost everything you can imagine on a rifle, and at the same point you get the bat phone, bat email to your instructors, to anyone to ask any questions, anything further, and you get to meet a lot of really neat people that enjoy the same things you like to enjoy. So with this, we're going to install our charging handle and bolt. One thing I do want to talk about is lubing. People tend to over lube. Machine gunners lube, if you go to the class, you'll learn this is what they use at Larue factory when they send everything out. Basic thing we were taught is lube only the things that touch things. Some people will lube every surface of the bolt, and really you only have very few contact points of the bolt. Charging handles, they tend to over lube the charging handles. Sometimes you get back pressure that sprays out and you get lube in your face. Use lube as it's supposed to be intended. Think methodically about it. I've come in and seen some of my friends' guns that literally looked like they just took their whole gun, dipped it in a bath of lube. You don't need to do that. Just use it in a few certain points. I like to use just a few little drops on the top of the charging handle, and at the same time look at your wear points on your bolt, especially at the bottom of the raceways, and then also on the bolt head itself. I like to use it. The reason is you use it just enough to where it keeps the gun functioning properly, where it's filtering dirt, debris, anything away from the mechanical parts of the gun. That's how I feel. Again, everybody has different theories on that. I'm not going to lube it right now because I'm planning on taking this apart for another reason later, and I just don't want to have it all lubed up. But install. There we go. Your charging handle and your bolt. Now again, hold on, make sure it's in the in position. Perfect. Oh, sorry. Out position. Now, we have our fully assembled Larue upper, 6.5 Grindle. Wonderful, wonderful product again. I can't tell you how much I really enjoy this, and I can't wait to go out and shoot it. Can't also wait for the 300 blackout. Again, thank you to Mark Larue and the team. Wonderful. If you have any feedback on the video, guys, if you think I said something wrong, did something wrong, I'm always open to feedback. Or if you like something and you need more help, have more questions, feel free to ask me at any time. I just love the community we have. Thank you very much.